And joining us now, my colleague Jen Psaki, host of Inside with Jen Psaki. Wow, Jen.
Great to see you.
Great to see you
what
too.
a freaking story,
I
Jonathan.
know. And thank you for staying late to be here on set with me. How would you convey the gravity of this to the American people? Journalistically, our minds are blowing, but you've served two presidents. Explain to the American people why this is such a big deal.
Well, there's a reason why there are only certain channels that are acceptable for classified information to travel through, whether you're the president or the vice president or any of these officials who are on the signal chain. And to give people a sense, typically the way it happens is in a SCIF. What a SCIF is, it's so secure that you can't bring your cell phone, you can't bring AirPods, you can't bring any electronic device. You have to take off your Apple Watch because information that is discussed in a SCIF is secure and safe and protected. That is how this information should travel. Any of these people have access to SCIFs. Any of them could go to a staffer and say, I need to have a secure call.
Don't they have them in their homes?
They have them in their homes. But the vice president, who was on there, could have said to a staffer, I need to do a secure call to let my views be known about a national security issue. They didn't choose to do that. As Senator Duckworth just said, no one posed any opposition to this. And the reason it's so important is because there are so many adversaries out there who want access to this type of information. Adversaries who might have told the Houthis there's going to be an attack. There's details about the timing of it. This is what Jeffrey Goldberg said to me earlier today. The timing of it, operational details, who they were targeting, that was all in this group chat, right? They could have shared that with them. It could have prevented the operation from taking place. Who knows what other signal chats they've had. This is information that could put people's lives at risk. It could put operations at risk that keep people safe. Can I make one other point? Because I don't think it's received enough attention and generally. The CIA director seems to have shared the name of a covert operative who Jeffrey Goldberg had the wisdom from having covered national security issues for decades not to share in his reporting. The CIA director shared it on a group chat with people who probably didn't know the name of that person. Some of them may not have. That's concerning, dangerous, and should be alarming to people.
You know, of course, it seems like Jeffrey Goldberg is really concerned about the casual texting of this top secret information. One thing that also comes to mind, Signal, as we were talking about, you can have it on your phone, which means if it's on your phone, you can be anywhere.
And he makes this point in his piece. That's why I mentioned the SCIFs, because you need to be in places where people aren't overhearing you. There are operatives, there are spies in coffee shops, in restaurants. Even if they're not spies or operatives, there are things they shouldn't be hearing about operations. People were doing this, some of them at least on their phones. They could have done it in broad daylight, around in crowds.
One thing that might surprise people, the text thread shows messaging is a concern. The White House wants to project invincibility. Trump is Teflon, but it seems they don't actually believe that when you read Jeffrey's story.
Well, what's also detailed, and I think you're referring to Pete Hegseth's, some of the points Pete Hegseth makes in this chain, and he engages quite a bit in this chain, according to Goldberg's reporting, and he's also the one who shares such a level of operational details about a military action that Jeffrey Goldberg doesn't share it in his own reporting. But he attacks Joe Biden twice.
Twice, right.
In this chain, that's the Secretary of Defense making an argument about a military action, and he's attacking the former president.
To show that Biden, we should do this to show that Biden failed. He mentioned that twice.
Exactly. That's not what a Secretary of Defense does. Military action is serious. It should be discussed in safe places and secure places. But that was part of his message on the chain.
So we heard Senator Duckworth say more than twice, maybe even 3 times, that all of these people should resign or they should be fired. Do you agree with that? And do you think that actually would happen, that any of these people would resign or that Trump would fire them?
I was born at night. It wasn't last night. I don't think that's what's going to happen. Here's what's interesting, though, because this story, I think there's so many more threads that I have questions about. I'm sure you do. What were the other signal chains about? What do our allies around the world think? Will Republicans do anything? There happens to be, what a timing, a worldwide threats hearing tomorrow, where a number of the national security officials on that chain are going to have to testify under oath. And I know the Democrats will ask them tough questions. I would hope the Republicans do. I'm not naive, but these are not political questions. These are national security secrets. These are national security information that's putting us all at risk.
That hearing's going to be lit.
It isn't always, but it may be lit tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow is going to be lit. Jen Psaki, thank you very much for hanging around and for doing this.
My pleasure. Great to be with you.